Welcome to Bar Napkin Business. On today's episode, we're talking to Dave Swan with SP Group about accounting and growing a service-based business. Welcome to Bar Napkin Business. I'm Allie.
I'm Matt.
And today we talked to Dave Swan with SP Group. And Dave has some really interesting insights to share when it comes to personnel and some of the failures that he made in his business. Matt, did you have anything specific that stuck out to you?
I loved his 4 core pieces. After going through the mission statement and then what they finally arrived on, I found that really interesting.
Yeah. Well, and if you keep watching or listening, you'll find out that they actually killed the mission statement, which I think is really interesting because that's one of those pieces that, I don't know, when people start a business, they think they have to have a website and a mission statement. Those are the 2 things they need. So let's go ahead and go to the interview.
Joining us today on Bar Napkin Business is Dave Swan, owner and founder of SP Group. They're an accounting firm here in Lincoln. He's actually my personal accountant.
Very scary for Matt, right? Very scary.
It's May, so I usually say thank you for your time, but I don't know what they do in May after taxes are done here.
That's fair.
Appreciate your time very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
You bet.
So, give us a little background. SP Group opened in '99. How did it open? Why did it open? Where'd you start?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough in my first job to work at a big, large firm. Had a good experience there. Actually learned a ton. Learned a lot about the actual business of accounting, in addition to how to treat customers. And but it became very evident that it was very hard to control your own destiny at a place like that. And so maybe you could become a partner, but you might have to move, or you might have to, it's kind of like build it and then trust me. Yeah. And so originally I wanted to make a change to control my own life, like a lot of entrepreneurs do. And so that's kind of how it started.
And how old were you in '99 when you took the leap?
I think I was 27. And that may or may not have been a good choice, but 27 was a little early to start a professional service practice, probably, looking back. But ultimately, I think it's kind of took me to the right spot. So
is that true when you own your own destiny? Because there's a lot of this, you have freedom, but you don't.
Right. I think there is. I think the thing that I like the most is that I can choose the people that I want to work with. I can choose, as we build our team, we can choose who we want on our team and who we don't want on our team. In accounting, some of the stereotypes are true, right? There are certainly some people that I might not want to go have a beer with at the end of the day, right? And I might not want to be on my team. And so we've been really lucky, and we've attracted a lot of people that both in our client base and in our team that are people that I like and share a lot of the same values that we have.
So when it started, was it just you? You had a partner? What did the shop look like? What were the first couple steps you took to start it?
Well, so my start was a little bit inauspicious, okay? So I originally left, actually, the firm that I was working for with another gentleman. We broke off. We started talking to people. We started telling people that we
Clients that you already had? How were you?
Yes, some clients that we have, but a lot more of like our professional relationships, our bankers, our attorneys, our financial advisors that we had a lot of common clients with or friends with. And we did that, kind of, cut nut, kind of did the whole thing. And then about 8 or 9 days in, my partner at the time started getting really, really cold feet. And on day 10, he went back to the old firm that we had worked for. And tried to get me to come back and tried to...
Why cold feet?
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
It's a risk, right?
It's a risk. It was scary, the grass was going to be greener. There were going to be promises, there were promises made, all that kind of stuff. And I get that to some extent. At the time it was disappointing because I think what was the most disappointing to me personally was that I misjudged the character of the person that I was going into business with. So that was kind of hard to reconcile that. It took a while to kind of figure that part out. But, you know, then I kind of had a real decision to make, because then it's just Dave.
It's just you.
It's just
Dave. Are you doing
right?
this?
Like, am I doing this or not? And so, you know, that was the point in time when my wife Tracy and I, who was really concerned that she would have to change her shampoo and change her makeup brand and all this stuff, you know, that's when we kind of sat down and said, hey, did any of the reasons why you fundamentally left change? And fortunately for me, that answer was no, they didn't change. And so that basically gave me enough confidence to say, you know what, we're going to see what happens. I did a financial statement to see, like, okay, here's where I'm at today, and then I'm going to check again in a year or check again in 2 years and see if we're making progress. And fortunately, we did. So
So do you have to? So you go and get a space, an office space. You had to borrow some money, probably. You had to hire a team. What did that look like?
Yeah, so got an office space, was really fortunate. I had a couple people that were mentor type people in my life that I reached out to when it kind of hit the fan. And, you know, fortunately, some of those people really stepped up and, you know, gave me the ability to replicate some infrastructure pretty cheaply and gave me a shot. And so I think their plan at the time was ultimately to get me to come work for them. But fortunately, you know, we were able to work through all that kind of stuff, and it was a good option. So
I get this question a lot since I own a marketing agency.
Yeah.
At what point did you start to market your business?
Well, I don't know. Like our marketing is maybe a little bit different than some of the businesses you deal with, as far as, you know, they have that retail element or some of that. You know, a lot of our clients have been through relationships, word of mouth, a kindly nudge by somebody who's one of our confidants or people that we deal with. And then as we've got a little more credible in the marketplace and we've grown, you know, now we're actually kind of at the point where we're considering doing a little more of what you would say is that traditional,
The promotional side
yeah,
of it.
that,
Okay.
that traditional, more branding type stuff.
So in the first year, what did you? It went from Dave Swan to what? How many?
Yeah, so right at the beginning, Dave Swan and interns, right? That's the model, right? If you don't have enough money to pay somebody all the time, let's pay somebody.
Owner plus intern equals business.
Yeah, pay somebody, you know, during your busiest times. And so we kind of, originally that was kind of the model. You know, fortunately, you know, that initial part, you know, kind of double relatively quickly. So over a period of about 3 or 4 years, we were a little more credible. You know, at that point in time, I was always visiting with people about, you know, hey, would you like to join our team? Hey, would you like to be part of that? And in 2003, my business partner and fellow shareholder, Darren Peterson, joined our firm. We hired a couple other people to get started, and we've kept going from there.
Rest is history.
Yeah.
So how long was that conversation with some of those people that you really wanted?
Long.
2 years?
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, you're just kind of courting the talent at that point.
You're starting that process. Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the early stages, because frankly, you had to get somebody to believe that you were going to be credible, right? Not only from a client standpoint, but also from just a team standpoint. Like, hey, can I safely take this risk, right? I mean, will there be will there be money to pay me? Will there be, you know, that kind of stuff.
So what does your day-to-day look like? Obviously in accounting, there's ebbs and flows, and you obviously have a peak and a valley.
Yeah.
But you do much more than just my taxes. You talk me off ledges, and you give me ideas, and that's a valuable relationship for me that I leverage throughout the year.
Yeah. So I would say if you look at what I do on the day-to-day basis now, is I talk to people a lot. You know, we're talking with people maybe that have questions, but also people that we're proactively reaching out and say, hey, you know what, we kind of noticed this when we were doing your stuff. We didn't talk about it at then, but let's kind of readdress this. Is this an issue? Fortunately for us, we were really lucky, and like I said, maybe starting a professional service practice at age 27 is not the ideal time, but it also kind of is, because we had a lot of people that when they started with us were really small clients, and we were, they were growing, but now they've really grown, and now they're established, they're owning businesses, they're taking over the practices where they worked for a long time. And so we've had, with that, there's just a tremendous amount of activity. When you deal with successful people that are entrepreneurial and are always looking forward, you're kind of on the ride with them, right? And that's fun. And I like being on the ride with them. Yeah. That's the good stuff.
So that's interesting. What are you learning from your clients? Obviously, you get to see the inside gears of how the machine is working.
Yeah.
Have you learned over?
I've learned a ton from my clients. I would say where it's probably the most noticeable for me is kind of on the people side of the business, right? Because a lot of accountants come from that numbers background, right? And I did to some extent there. But I think where you see people, and particularly where you see people that have been successful and how they create their incentive comp plans, how they're thinking about how to reward their employees. I mean, I've got some tremendous ideas that we've used in our business as far as rewarding our employees or, recognizing our team members. I think there's just a tremendous amount of stuff that I've learned from that.
Have you seen them, small businesses particularly, make any common mistakes with their finances, with accounting, with structuring, any sort of those types of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you start your business, probably the key is to getting in the right structure from a legal standpoint, so you really are protecting big picture the things that you need to protect, right? And then two, getting in the right, structure from an accounting standpoint, what fits for you. We have some businesses that are, startup businesses, so, you might be not really caring about taxable income because you're trying to get investors, right? So their goal is different maybe than somebody that is an entrepreneur that is truly running it for cash flow. You might have like a rental real estate, type person or rental real estate type person where the goal is to grow wealth, right? It's a 30-year plan. It's not a 2-year plan. So a little bit of that is goal. I think where sometimes people do make mistakes is, there are always people that will do something cheaper, right? And accounting is like that big time, because I think there are certain people that either they don't. I think there's a lot of accountants that sometimes make the error that they don't know what their people are really wanting, or they don't ask enough questions to even have a clue. And so they're able to do a tax return very cheaply, but really probably miss the boat on, have you thought about this? Have you realized any of that?
It's funny you say that. So you guys were my personal accountants, but you weren't our corporate accountants when we first started.
Right.
And then, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in or something, I sat down with you and said, hey, look, can you look through our stuff and see if you spot anything?
Right.
In an hour and a half, you saved me about $1,200. I mean, you earned your money, right? And that's continued to go on. So
that's kind.
I appreciate it, but it's an exact story of something that happened there. So,
Right. What are the most common questions that you get?
How do I pay less?
Okay.
How do I pay less? We also get a lot of questions of, how should we set this up, right? How should we set up our books? How should we organize our data, right? We have all different clients in that realm, right? We have some people that say, I don't want to do any of that stuff. Will you guys just handle all that stuff? Because I'm not good at it. My brain is wired in a different way that doesn't work. We have other people that are very analytical, very talented at that way. And they just sometimes need a guidance like, hey, track it this way. You might be able to get some insights a little bit differently. So there's a wide range there. There's definitely still a little bit of that throw the shoebox type out there. From our perspective, we actually really like clients that are organized, right? We want to help them get organized. We want to give them the tools so they can get organized. We want to give them the tools so they can actually use the data as opposed to just record the data at the end of the year.
So from a service standpoint, one thing I think is interesting for you is that a service business comes with you attached,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So how did you over the years grow your brand and company so that it wasn't just Dave?
Right, and that's challenging, right? What we've done is from a one of our 4 core values is teamwork, and in a professional services practice, that's maybe a little bit different than a lot of retail or some of those other deals. But in a professional service business, what we want to do is we want to serve our client in the way that's the most efficient. So if Matt calls up, let's say for example, and he says, hey, I'm getting a new loan for my property or my business. Can you send the return to the banker or do whatever? We want that to happen without Dave having to be involved, right? I mean, we want our admin team to be able to handle that, to get it to there, to make Matt happy, to have everybody have the data they need, right? We want to use some of our team members, from a big picture standpoint, that are better at some of the technology or some of the QuickBooks detail stuff than I am, right? As I've continued to morph and build my practice, I'm not as good at it as some of the people that we have on our team. So it makes sense for them to do those types of projects for our clients.
So you're systematizing things so that it's an experience versus one person.
We are. What we're trying to do is I think I read a book, and I can't remember who it was, but it's systematize the things that you can, so you can make your service extraordinary on the things that you can't. Sure. Right? And I want to say that maybe it was a hotel. It might have been a hotel, like a Hilton, Hilton Marriott type. Yes, exactly. I read it at one point in time, but I thought it was actually pretty good, right? Because you try to get away from the dynamic that you are the only person that somebody can talk to. Now, in accounting and a lot of professional services, everybody gets really nervous, right? Because there's power in talking to your clients, right? Who controls the client, right? And so a lot of where that breaks down in a lot of models is that everybody wants theirs, right? The pot isn't growing, so I'm going to put my arms around the pot or the share of the pot that's mine. Fortunately, we've been able, through our incentive stuff and through our, our philosophy, just as far as how we do our office, is we're not always concerned about the scarcity of that pot, right? We think we're going to continue to grow our pot if we do a great job, and everybody's going to get paid.
Any mistakes you made, Dave?
Oh yeah, we've made some mistakes.
Tell us about a big one.
I'd say the most challenging mistakes you have are when you deal with personnel, right? You say, I wish I would have done that sooner. I mean, I think that's always a big one, right? If you're a business owner, you've been in business for a while, you're like, that was broken. I thought I could fix it, but maybe I couldn't. So that's always challenging. Sometimes your team members do dumb stuff that is not your fault, and so those are tricky situations because you care about those people. But you don't have options, and so those are tricky situations. So I'd say the personnel stuff are probably the trickiest part.
So Dave, we were talking a little bit off camera about your mission statement. Tell us a little more about that.
Well, we suck at that. And it's kind of funny because when we were about probably about 7 or 8 people, we had actually one of our team members go through an entrepreneur acceleration program through the Gallup organization. There was a grant that they had, and our person applied and went through this program. And so really good stuff. We got a lot of people type things. We got a lot of Gallup-y type.
Strengths, weaknesses.
Yeah, like a lot of those kind of
Good feel good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that we could kind of go through, use for like our firm summit, those types of things. And so as part of that process, it's like you got to have a mission statement, right? That's the core deal. And so we had a firm summit where the 8 of us kind of went off site, tried to write this mission statement, and we just sucked at it. I mean, we were trying to debate whether we should use honesty or integrity. We were debating whether we should use client service or something else, right? And we became very concerned about where the periods were or the commas were, that kind of deal. Finally, fortunately, we kind of said we should not have a mission statement. But what we should do is we should figure out, okay, what happens every day when we don't even think about what we're doing, right? What do you see every day when everybody's just doing whatever they're doing in their natural habitat? And for us, it became very clear there were 4 things that we believed in. We're relationship oriented, so we're not transaction oriented. We want a 30-year client. We want to help them. We want to be there when their aunt dies and they administer their aunt's estate. We want to be there, in all those types of situations. So we're relationship oriented. We're teamwork oriented, team versus just individual. We want some kind of life work balance. In accounting, a lot of times we get really pressed during tax season. So we want people to be able to kind of still manage their life during those busy points in time, but then also get it back in the summer. And then the last thing that is we are competitive people. So our last value is actually that we like to win. And we have a lot of people in our office that like to win. We have a lot of people in our office that have come from sports backgrounds, and that doesn't go away. So like when we're shooting hoops in our office, like people want to win. It's kind of funny, and it doesn't go away, and it's silly, and it's whatever, but that is who we are, and that's what you're going to see with our group over time.
So if people want to take a step like you did and start a business, maybe they're that budding entrepreneur, what advice do you have for them?
I would say make sure that you're doing whatever you're doing for the right reason, right? So, I would not use entrepreneurship as an escape. I would use it as this is how I want to build my life, right? I want my life to look like this, and this is a step to get me to there. So I think probably changing that mentality a little bit is probably the first advice that I'd have. There's a lot of people that will help you in Lincoln. There's a lot of people that will help you from a tech side. There's a lot of attorney, accountant, financial advisor type people that will be resources for you. So I definitely think you want to use those people probably early in your business, even though it costs a little bit of money. But I'd say, it's probably just do it for the right reason. And if you're doing it for the right reason, then when you hit that roadblock, which inevitably you're going to hit, it doesn't seem like that big a deal, right? Because I'm doing this. This is part of a 30-year plan, not part of a 2-year plan. So.
Well, Dave, where can people find you? Where's your retail location? Can they find you online if they want to contact you? How do they find you?
Yeah, so our office is located kind of down by Lincoln Southwest High School, about 14th and Pine Lake Road is our current location. We're on the web, spgrouppc.com, and you can certainly give us a call or find Matt, and he'll eventually track you down to us.
Okay, well.
It is time for last call.
Awesome.
Last call.
Quick fire questions.
Okay.
First thing to come to your mind. So Matt's got a couple, I got a couple.
Great.
We'll start with our favorite question so far. What's your favorite Christmas gift of all time? What's been given to you?
Favorite Christmas gift wow, that is a tough one. I would probably say We got a Tin Lizzie, which was effectively a little car back when I was a kid, and I drove the tar out of that thing. So I'd say that.
Nice.
What was the last thing that kept you up at night, Dave?
Last thing that kept me up at night was a personnel issue at the firm.
Was there any advice that someone gave you in your career that you decided to not take?
My folks were really nervous when I was going to leave my practice because and there was a path for me to be successful there. I'm not saying there wasn't a path to be successful. So I think that was nerve-wracking for them, and ultimately made me at least question that decision when I had it at the time.
So I ran into this a few times early on. I was too young. You were 27 when you started this, and you're handling people's money. How did you combat that? You're too young to be handling my finances.
Yeah, that's a challenge for a while. And realistically, what happened with us is probably with some of our referral sources, when we first got our referrals from them, we got their C referral. Yeah. We got their D referral, or whatever. And then over time, I think we became more credible. I think we did what we said we were going to do. I think people got results when we helped them. And then I think particularly in that referral world that we're in, we started getting the good ones over time. And so I'd say that is probably what happened with us. We kind of had to prove our mettle.
Yeah. Do you see tech as a threat to you guys?
Yes.
A lot of it's getting automized now.
Yeah, tech is a threat. Tech is really a threat for a firm that is only compliance based and doesn't think and doesn't try to create value with advice. It's definitely a threat. We are trying to use technology as a tool to make our life better and it better for our clients. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, tech's a disruptor. I don't know if it's probably a threat to maybe a lot of accounting traditional business model. But I think you also can use tech to your advantage if you kind of flip it on its head. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thanks for joining us today with our interview with Dave Swan from SP Group. What did you find interesting about this interview today?
I think being a service-based business myself, I liked the idea of really being intentional about the things you can scale and systematize, and then really adding that kind of added value or like special recognition on the things that you can't systemize.
Yeah, people in positions to succeed, right? We
Right.
hear that all the time. Dave did a good job talking through that.
Yeah, definitely.
We are looking for a franchise owner for one of our next guests. We want to know about buying a franchise, owning a franchise, growing a franchise. If you do know anybody that's a franchise owner, or if you are yourself, please contact us.
The email is show@barnupkinbusiness.co, and you can find all the episodes up to this date at barnupkinbusiness.co as well. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.